All right, we are rolling. So this is the Info Smoker podcast that I do on the Kush Kingdom channel. I'm Nikola. I'm doing this alone, and then I'm doing this with my friend Maureen, who is fellow stand-up comic, open micer, I should say. When was the last time you did? When was the last time you did open micing? Because you stopped for a while, right?
Yeah, it's been a while. I've actually done, not to, whatever, I usually go by Moey, than Maureen, but I did more than open mics. I mean, I actually have done, legit shows, and I've actually worked, not a ton, but, I would travel in Charleston, and I would travel, in Georgia, and I would do shows for, police officers and things like that,
Right.
and I've posted shows. I posted shows at the Comedy Store. I've worked with, not that they would know me or anything. This is more name dropping than anything, but Joe Rogan and Nikki Glasser, Adam Devine, and I opened one time for, who was that one dude? He was really, really controversial.
Ari Shaffir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that one time.
Yeah, exactly. But I moved back here 4 years ago, and I had to kind of get back into it. So I was doing mostly open mics and some book shows. But that was over a year ago, and I've been mostly just making videos, and then I've kind of taken a hiatus on that and kind of doing something completely different, working with kids, which is also hilarious, but in a different way.
Yeah.
But I will probably go back to comedy and things like that once this whole coronavirus thing blows over.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's pretty fucked how everything got... I personally got... I've talked about it before on this, but yeah, I got completely fucked because of the corona.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah.
The job, because we used to be
work,
coworkers
right?
at a place. I don't want to say where we used to work, but that place is all shut down. They let everyone go. I was there for 3.5 years, and they finally let me go. But it's once it kicks back on, they're gonna get me back. But it's fucking wild how everything got shut down. But so you're here specifically to talk about the Cannabinoid Hyperemesis syndrome, right?
Yeah, Cannabinoid Hyperemesis syndrome.
Yeah. Goddamn, I fucked that one up. I have it written down in front of me, and I still fucked that up.
It's a mouthful. I'm not even sure that I say it right.
But yeah, and it's crazy because we were already texting about this. We talked about this. We've been smoking for a long time. I've never ever heard about this, and I listened to a bunch of podcasts, and I was doing research on this documentary and doing a bunch of shit. So I thought this would be something that I would have heard about at any point, but I never did. So when you told me about it, I was really fascinated. And so I did research on it, and coincidentally, a week after we talked about it, because you're a fan of Dr. Drew, right? You used to listen to Loveline.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, so you should listen to Dr. Drew After Dark, his podcast. It's really great. But
I should.
Yeah. The problem is, though, it's on the Your Mom House podcast, which is a great podcast. It's on their YouTube channel, but they do a lot of inside jokes and they say a lot of fucked up crazy shit. So if you're not used to it, you're gonna be doing a lot of double takes. What the fuck did they just say? When it was just a weird inside joke. So that's the only problem for you as a new person. But it's a great podcast and it's really interesting. And episode 56 is called Scromiting, because that's because they briefly talked about the Cannabinoid Hyperemesis syndrome, where Dr. Drew said that basically it's just described as scromiting from people who have it, screaming, vomiting, violent vomits.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I was not I was not an outsider of it, but my boyfriend would probably tell you that it sounded pretty violent.
Yeah.
At times, more cases were even more severe where they would be throwing up 10 times in a row. I stopped smoking right when hyperemesis started, and some people don't really know what is happening.
Right.
They keep smoking, and I have kind of done a little bit of research and kind of been suspecting it for the past couple of months because I've had stomach issues kind of my whole early life from 19 to now, and I'm 37. 5 years ago, I went to a GI doctor, and he said he did not say anything about CHS. It wasn't really known about then, but he said, well, there's correlations of pot smokers and people with stomach aches,
Right.
like stomach problems and vomiting and nausea. And I was like, no way, that's not. He's like, try quitting for 2 weeks. And I was like, no. Which was really
Right.
if you're listening to this and you have chronic nausea and you smoke every day and you've been doing it for a while, I strongly suggest to quit for 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, so, I just been dealing with it, and I cut out gluten, and I've gotten better, and, I've had good phases and bad phases, but this January, my nausea was getting worse and worse. So I went to the doctor, and I brought him my records, and I said, stuff about marijuana, and my doctor agreed that it could be caused from marijuana, but he did not name this syndrome, CHS. He actually said cyclic vomiting syndrome, which if somebody looks up, they can see that they're very similar, but one simply just not caused by pot, and one is just caused by stress,
Right.
and cheese. Yeah. So that's just a little bit of kind of how it all went down. And when I went to my doctor, he's like, try quitting. And so I had a plan to wean off. And this weekend I was weaning off. I was taking 10 hits, or that sounds like a lot, but 10 hits, and then I was just gonna wean down. Monday morning I woke up with a really bad stomach ache, and I took a hit. 6 in the morning, took a hit, went back to sleep, woke up finally ill, sweating, puking. It was very horrible.
Yeah, that's rough. I know it's crazy.
Yeah,
in my just limited research and what Dr. Drew said in the 1 minute they talked about it, because there's so little to discuss, so he talked about it for a second because there's not much known about it, but they say all that they know is that warm showers and warm baths are if you start to feel really sick, that's a good way to make you feel better, which is really weird.
Yeah, it's really weird and also can be misleading. Not misleading in a way, but it makes a lot of pot smokers sort of reluctant that they could have it. And it's rare, but I don't think it's as rare as we think it is. I think it's just not known about. It's just not known.
Because it's not really treated.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Because it's not really treated, that's why, yeah.
Exactly. And I was I've had this nausea forever that could have, it could have just been, they say that you could have I should have looked it up before we did this podcast. It's called the prodromal phase, I believe, and that's just when you have light nausea.
I have that written down, yeah.
Yeah,
the prodromal.
Correct me on the pronunciation. I apologize for any viewers. I'm not the best.
Yeah, no, this is all weird vocabulary that they have here.
Yeah, medical vocabulary is not my forte.
Yeah.
But so what the thing is that since January, I've been getting increasingly nauseated, and I couldn't really eat much for lunch. I come home, I smoke, I eat a big dinner. The hot showers weren't really working, so I was I don't have this, But once hyperemesis started, the hot showers helped. Now, some people, when they say they feel, it almost goes away instantly. For me, it wasn't like that, but it did ease the pain a lot. And also, what is that cream? Caffeine cream, that helped me too, but that also burned the crap out of my stomach. Because I put too much on it, and it's made out of peppers, and then I had to put sour cream on my stomach. So I was puking, burning, putting sour cream on my stomach, sweating. This is just horrible.
God. Yeah, it's crazy. And how, because what I read is that a lot of, I guess everyone, the doctors that do look into this, it's pretty, the consensus is that you have to be smoking for a long time for this to start kicking in with people, which is strange. But I knew... Hold on, God damn it. Sorry, the fucking microphone I use has a history of bugging out, and I just fixed it. But, it flickers on and off. But anyway, so the consensus from doctors that study this, it seems to be that you have to be smoking for a long time for it to start kicking in. But I knew a guy way back in high school. I didn't know at the time what this was. I never heard about it. But, I was at my friend's house, my friend who we still smoke together all the time. And we had one of our buddies over who we never smoked with, but we've known him for a long time, So it's the first time the guy came over and we smoked. and he took like 2 hits from this blunt or joint or whatever it was we're smoking, and he just exploded like puking. He like puked all over himself and was like,
She
"Oh!"
could just be allergic to it. She might not have. Was she drinking alcohol?
No, we were all sober, and then we just lit up a joint or a blunt, and then he just fucking got like I would describe it as scromming. It was like violent, like it was like sudden
Was
and
it her
violent.
first time smoking?
I think it was one of the first. Is there a thing to be allergic to weed? Is that also
I
a thing?
think that it is. I also probably should have looked up before, but
Yeah, I've never even heard of that.
I knew somebody who couldn't, they couldn't smoke, and it made them like sick to their stomach.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very possible that she had, because we don't know a lot, because this is the thing is that I've been smoking for 17 years, longer than that really. I started, experimenting when I was 16, and then, my stomach started hurting, a decent amount, like, when I was 21. And it's also triggered by stress, too, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, my dad passed away. So at that point, I was smoking regularly for 2 years, okay? And then I had these stomach issues. So it took me a while to really, like, because I was in denial for so long that it could be CHS. I was like, no, I started smoking more because of my stomach. But when I think about it, I could have been smoking for 2 years, and I very well could have been going through the prodromal, or the first phase, we'll call it, for 17 years. Like, honestly. Or this could have been causing my chronic nausea all these years, because now I haven't been smoking for a month, and my nausea has been increasingly better every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So what's really messed up about it is that it probably happens to a lot of people, and they think they just have stomach issues. They have IBS, so they smoke, and it makes them feel better. And it did. It made me feel so much better. But the thing very well that I could have been treating myself for it could have been causing it.
Right.
And there's just not, like you said, there's just not enough information. Like, I didn't read anywhere where you could just be going through the first phase for 17 years.
Right.
It's usually like 3 to 5 years. But what do we know?
Exactly.
My doctor called it cyclic vomiting syndrome. I went to the ER, which a lot of people who suffer from this have to, because they're so weak. They can't eat anything, they can't keep anything down, they don't drink enough water, and they have to go get, hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
And I explained, to the person walking in, and he's like, oh, no, but you stopped smoking. I was like, yeah, but it's only been for 3 days. And he goes, oh, doesn't it just take 3 days? I'm like, no, it takes 2 weeks at least, and it could take months, really.
Right.
So I'm still dealing. It's been a month for me, but I had a little bit of an episode. It wasn't violent. It wasn't scromming, but it was just, really bad nausea, and I threw up once, and it was triggered by eating too much cheese.
Okay.
So you have to when you're detoxing almost, you have to be really healthy to your digestive system. And another interesting thing is, if you go on Reddit, you can read a lot about it on Reddit. And there are people who are like, I have a gluten intolerance, and then they also smoke weed. And then one person, or a couple different people, said that they stopped smoking weed for months. They got clean for like 3 months, and then they could go back to eating whatever they wanted. So it messes with your digestive system and your nerve, and like the nerve where like the nerve and your brain. I totally wish that I like printed something out so I could talk about it a little bit more eloquently. This explains, but anybody could look it up, and there's different theories.
No one knows.
Caused by.
Because like if they said, from what I read, there's no clinical guidelines currently. It's just take a warm shower.
Just theories.
Yeah, like stop smoking, take a warm shower, take vitamin B6, just general healthy kind of shit. That's pretty much all they have to say for it.
There's like a theory that it affects the way your stomach empties into your intestines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's kind of like, it's just basically, it just messes with your digestive tract. And what's weird about it is, it's like it's a nerve and anything. It's like it's like sending signals to your brain that I'm sick. If you go and you get colonoscopies, which I've had 2 colonoscopies, and I have 2 endoscopies, which is when you get cameras going down your throat and up your butt.
Fun stuff.
And I'm 37. You don't start getting colonoscopies until you're, in your 50s. There was no inflammation. There was nothing wrong with me. I appear to be very healthy.
Yeah.
And, but it's very clear that it was the marijuana. Very clear.
I know, it's crazy,
All
man.
lined up.
It's fucking crazy. Like,
It's insane.
yeah, and it's interesting how you're saying it kind of like once the hyperemesis starts, just to say, there's like three stages: the prodromal, which is nausea, discomfort, and just urge to vomit all the time. Then hyperemesis, which is the scromiting and just whatever violent, explosive.
Yeah, you're just ill all over. Too.
Yeah.
You just don't feel good.
Yeah, and then the recovery stage, which, like you're saying, could take several months. I'm assuming because if
Which
this
I
is
know.
like, yeah, because if weed, like if whatever cannabis, if THC stays in your blood for like several months, I'm pretty sure that's what it is, you know, because it's like your body's rejecting the THC and the whatever cannabinoids and all the other shit that's in weed. So like, you know, and they say, oh, you know, stop smoking. Then before you take a blood test, if you're trying to join the army or whatever, you gotta wait like at least 3 months. So it's kind of like that. It's like your body has to completely reject this shit from your system for you to get to a new normal.
It stores in your fat cells too the longer you smoke, and I've been a very long time smoker.
Yeah. Yeah, that too.
I hate to admit it, but it's the longest I've ever gone without smoking in 17 years. It's 1 month. It'll be 1 month on Monday.
I know, I haven't even gone that long without smoking since I started.
I almost broke down last night. My boyfriend had to hold me back.
Jeez.
But he's like, you're not better yet. And, you know, but the thing is I might be able to smoke very moderately when I'm better. But I'll be very, very careful. But I probably want to wait another 2 months before I even try, because I missed a week and a half of work. I was sick for 2 weeks. It's not like you get better little by little either. You're just sick as hell.
Yeah.
For like 2 weeks, and then suddenly the key to it, if anybody's listening and they're like, oh my god, this might be me, the key to it is when you're going to hyperemesis, you have no appetite, and that feeds into your sickness, right? And what puts people in the hospital is of dehydration. So you might read of one case of a death because of kidney failure, which is because of dehydration.
Right.
Because you puke so much, you scrum it, as Dr. Drew said.
Yeah.
So the key to it for me was that I realized I wasn't going to get better if I wasn't putting calories in my body. So I started eating very small snacks, like every hour to 2 hours, protein bars, applesauce, potato soup. And then I did that for 2 days, and then I got like an appetite. And I finally was able to introduce the foods that I normally eat. I just don't eat a lot of cheese. Like a lot of cheese. I went overboard.
Yeah.
One night. Yeah, I went overboard because you're so. I want to say I lost 12 to 13 pounds, but probably now 10 pounds, and I gained back a few pounds. And I'm maintaining because I don't have the munchies at night. So,
yeah, that's actually like a huge factor.
So there's one positive thing is I lost 10 pounds.
The munchies is like a huge factor.
Oh my god, I was crazy. Oh, and another thing is I don't crave sugar very much now that I'm not smoking.
Oh yeah, I bet.
I mean, I do, but I'm not like obsessed about it.
Yeah.
Like I can actually have willpower and not smoke a ton. But that's the thing is what I was saying before is you just have to keep eating a little bit and a little bit here and there, and then it was like 2 weeks in, and I was like, oh my god, I can actually eat. And I started to feel better. But you're so hungry that even I think this was 2 or 3 days ago, I was craving. I made this broccoli cheese bread, the keto cheese bread, because I'm gluten free, and I ate probably like the whole pan of it in one night, and then I woke up and I had an episode. So so stupid.
Yeah.
The cheese. It wasn't scromiting, thank God, but it was just the general like nausea, the headache, the just not feeling well. You just feel ill.
Just the general.
Like you have the flu, but you don't have a fever.
Yeah, it's the general too much cheese vomit.
Yeah,
one of those.
But if you read that, they do say that something like that can trigger triggered episode.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure.
Stress. And I have been in an immense amount of stress because of my work situation, which I
Right.
won't go into. But, and I think that really kind of kicked in the hyperemesis. And even, you can argue and say that I was in the first phase for 17 years, but then it got, like, progressively worse in the last 2 months.
Right.
Where it was just, like, I was puking, like, instead of puking, like, a couple times a month, I was puking, 5 or 6 times a week.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, then the scrammeting, which is a great term, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
And sometimes you don't have anything to throw up, and that's even worse.
I know, it's crazy how, like, shit, this is like a totally individual by individual basis case, basically. Like, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. Like, I've never heard about any of this, and like you're saying, like, you could have been in that first stage for 17 years, and just a collection of other things just stagnate on top of each other.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Insane. Yeah, all I can say, if anybody was listening and you have chronic nausea and you smoke pot, and I know, because I was a big, big pot smoker as a part of my life, I don't even know who I am. No, I do know who I am. Yeah. But I was afraid I wasn't going to know who I was. Just quit, just for 2 weeks, and see if you feel better. Because you don't want to go through hyperemesis. If you go to the hyperemesis stage, it's one of the hardest things that I've ever gone through. Because, like I said, it's not like you get better day by day. You just don't. You're just really sick, and then you get better like 2 weeks later. It doesn't. You're just so sick. And I had dark thoughts. Like, I was like, I want to end my life, which I know is really, like, taboo to say. And it sounds really stupid. And I never would, I have support and love around me, but that's how horrible it was. So if you're listening and you have chronic nausea, I urge you do not want to go through what I went through. Horrible.
Yeah, it's like your body's in a state of perpetual shutdown, basically, right? Like, just for a long period.
Yeah, I was so sick, and I had to tell my boss, because I wanted to give him some information, and I had to give him doctor notes and stuff, which is interesting, by the way. Well, let me finish that thought, and I'll go back to that. But I just said it's cyclic vomiting syndrome. So, if you're out there and you're like, well, what do I tell my people? Like, I don't want to tell them that, weed causes. Like, I've told people, like my boyfriend's family and stuff. Hopefully she'll never listen to this. But it's cyclic vomiting syndrome. And if you look up and it's just as serious. It can put you in the hospital. So when I went back to the doctor, I went to the doctor the first time, and then I went back to the doctor when hyperemesis hit, because I needed to get some benzos. I needed some lorazepam, because you read that anti-nausea like Zofran and things like that don't really work well. And the benzos kind of like relax you, so you don't, so your stomach muscles don't they don't contract and they don't urge you to vomit. So when I went to him, I was sweating. I was like, I printed out pages of the CHS, and I was like, you were right, it's the pot, but you were wrong. It's not cyclic vomiting syndrome, it's Cannabinoid Hyperemesis syndrome. And he goes, oh. And my doctor's really cool dude, and he's really smart, but just not a lot of people know about it.
Right.
And I was like, I need lorazepam. And he gave it to me. He was really cool. But on my diagnosis, he said withdrawal, that I was going through withdrawal. Which, I mean,
that could also be a factor.
What'd you say?
That could also be, like, a legitimate factor.
Yeah, it's like, yes, it could be, but some people, I think, that go through this continue to smoke and still go through the hyperemesis.
Right.
Like, I was sick 2 hours after I took my last hit, so that's not withdrawal. But I was like, whatever. Like, he gave me another medicine that is sometimes treated with withdrawal, and it helped. So who's to say that I also didn't go through withdrawal as well?
It's like, that would just be like a light kind of pepper on top of all the other shit.
And then it's very similar. It's like you sweat a lot, you throw up,
right.
Loss of appetite. It's really hard to distinguish, your dream. My big thing was when I quit smoking pot, my dreams have changed so much. It's very weird.
The fact that you do dream, like, I smoke like every night, so I barely dream.
I dreamt, but I always didn't have a clear idea of what I dreamt about. But I was a lucid dreamer, and
Really?
I would know. And sometimes I'd be like, "Oh, I'm dreaming. Let's explore and let's do some shit." When I quit smoking, I've only been able to lucid dream once, which you think would be the opposite.
You could,
And
yeah, that's
I've
weird.
only
You could lucid dream when you smoke?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah,
Wow,
my
I wish I could
boyfriend
do
does
that.
too. He's like a crazy lucid dreamer. But when I quit, it's just, my dreams they don't make sense. They don't make sense at all. But I don't know that I'm in a dream,
Right.
which is just horrible because I'm like, ah. And finally, I had a dream the other night where, I was I was like stealing cupcakes and taking shots and stuff, and like I was like, I'm dreaming. I was really excited.
Can eat all the cupcakes I want.
Yeah.
It's like smoke weed in the dream.
Yeah. Oh, I had that last night. I was really
Jesus.
It was like 9 a.m. and I was like, yeah, let's smoke. Like, not my life anymore, unfortunately. But it's good. I've never really felt better, and I have my appetite's normal, and I don't have stomach issues all the time, and I'm hoping that in a couple months I can start eating gluten again.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because when we worked together, you would say that a lot. That like, oh, you're cutting out the gluten and this and that. But it's like shit. It might have just been the prodromal stage the whole time, right?
Yeah, I mean seriously, or the gluten could have made it worse because
Right.
that's from my understanding too, is that it affects your digestive system, so it affects like what you can and cannot eat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely still looking forward to crepes with you.
Yeah.
Hopefully in a couple months, and then I can eat gluten.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can't eat edibles either, right? Like it's the same shit. Like your body like metabolizes it the same way.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask that next.
It's funny
Wow.
that you asked that because that's everybody's first question.
That's rough. The CBD also. That's fucked up. I guess that makes sense because it's not exclusively the THC that causes
Exactly,
this.
It's the cannabinoids.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wow. That's rough.
Yeah, exactly. And it sucks because I have anxiety, and I would love to use CBD, and it would also help me just like at night because it's like I've been used to smoking so much at night, and it's like at night I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I'm bored.
All right.
My boyfriend's like, right, and I was like, no, which I have been starting to toy with the idea of writing more, and I'm sure as time goes on I'll be more and more productive, but it turns out I also am just really lazy and like to watch TV even without pot, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's crazy shit. This is what like it's because I found out apparently the first I guess what's the word? Like the first case that they established, like, oh, this is a new thing. Once they wrote that shit down, it was in 2004 in Australia.
Oh, really?
So it's pretty new, yeah.
It's funny that you said that. Because 2004 is when my first colonoscopy happened. That's when my dad died, and when I was like puking like every day for like 2 months.
Oh. That's weird. Yeah. Maybe it's something in the weed since 2004. Someone put something in something. And it created this whole epidemic. Fucking A.
Well, also another interesting point is that so the higher in THC, the higher weed, like the higher like THC count you have, it seems like that kind of can push the hyperemesis faster. And which I don't know. Like, this is me reading Reddit, so I'm not like this isn't like Dr. Moey or anything.
Right. Yeah.
But I just read a lot of people who do dabs, and it made them very sick, and they weren't necessarily smokers for as long as me.
Right.
But they dabbed, and the wax, and I think that is you're a lot more likely to get CHS or get CHS faster if you do dabs and wax and things with a higher percentage of THC.
Right. I mean, there's like a certain bro science aspect to that, which makes sense. It's like the stronger weed hits you harder, hits you faster. Whatever.
Yeah. Like literally, yeah. I mean, it makes sense, and also dabbing is kind of like. I don't know.
I feel like that's still experimental in general. Yeah, like people that are doing that. Like I used to kind of dab every now and again, not exclusively, just because my friend always had wax and I had a dabber. But Yeah, smoking's better. Like, you don't need to get that high that fast. Like, just smoke and fucking cruise your way up there.
I would have to, like, lie down when I would dab. And then it would actually sometimes, like, upset my stomach, which makes sense. Which, again, everything is, like, kind of like, you're in denial, when it's all happening, and then when it all ends and you haven't been smoking, you're like, well, wait a minute, like, oh, maybe that did, like, even in the 2 months since January when my nausea started to get better, or get worse, I would smoke immediately, and something, like a knot in my stomach would happen, and it would allow me to eat, but it didn't relieve my nausea like it used to. So I was like, oh, something's going on. But I was in denial until I went to the doctor, and he was like, yeah, no, this could be pot. Like, you should quit. And I had no choice when hyperemesis hit. I had no choice. Thank God. Some people you read on Reddit keep smoking, and I'm like, and they had, like, all these episodes, and I was like, just quit. Like, I know it's hard, but it's better than doing this.
Yeah,
It's
really crazy.
About that. Yeah, I know. And, like, even last night, I had a couple drinks, which you probably, if you're listening, like, I don't, like, recommend necessarily drinking this early in recovery.
But
I'm okay. The whole time I've actually, like, drank, like, too much, I ironically did not throw up. And also, my hangovers are a lot better when I don't smoke, which I always thought they made them better.
Well, yeah, it makes sense, because it's like, if you're constantly feeling ill because of the, because of the CHS, then, yeah, like, it would only heighten the sense of feeling like shit because of the hangover.
Yeah, but I always thought, like, oh, man, I need smoke pot for my hangover, because because it still numbs you, and it relaxes you. So there's just the other things that pot do to you kind of mask everything else.
Right.
And, and then, like, I'm just, like, my hangover today, I did some thing, I woke up, I took some Tylenol, I ate some peanuts, like, I ate some nachos, like, I was through it. Like, I'm perfect now. It's like, I was fine. I was, like, picking up garbage in the neighborhood by 2 o'clock. And my hangovers were so bad, and I was always like, it's because I'm in my 30s, but, like,
yeah.
I really think the pot made the hangovers a lot worse. So it's always brighter on the other side when your mind is clear. Everyone thinks that pot is, like, this amazing drug that can do no wrong, which I'm not, like, advocating against pot, because I love it. I think it has great benefits, but doing it all the time, it can affect you. And if you are prone to CHS, not everybody will get it. But if you are, then it's not good for you. And you need that. Well.
Yeah, and it's not something I like to say on this channel, because this channel's all about smoking weed and shit, but it's like, it's important information, and it's interesting, and the fact that I'd never heard about it until you, and then Dr. Drew just briefly mentioning it, it's just fucking mind-blowing to me, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I'm not, like, against pot or against people. I'm gonna smoke it, like, in a couple of months, very moderately. Hopefully, I'll let you know.
Yeah, you gotta take a sample puff. Just take one puff and just see how you feel the next day.
But I think I need to wait 2 more months. 3
Right?
months
Yeah, exactly.
For it to be completely out until I'm sort of not throwing. Like, I would like to go a whole month without throwing up at all and not having any issues, and then I'll see what happens. But also, like, if you are an everyday smoker, like, maybe just think about, not necessarily you, but, like, if you are a little bit nauseous, like, maybe just stop being an everyday smoker.
Yeah.
Which is hard, but I wish I would have done that, because I would much rather be smoking just on the weekends. Do you know what I mean? Because now I can't do that.
Yeah,
now I don't know that I'll even be able to smoke once a week.
Yeah, like, it's interesting. Like, it might. Like, since we don't know any of this, like, this is all, like, we're theorizing basically with your specific condition. Like, maybe someone can be locked in a prodromal stage, and if they know that, then it's like, yeah, maybe you're okay if you only smoke once on a weekend. But if it's if you're prone to this, and if you do it all the time, then maybe that will, like, basically mutate your DNA to a point where, you can't smoke weed anymore permanently.
And it sucks. It's like being in a alcoholic. That's what I always said about being an alcoholic. Like, my dad was an alcoholic. Both of all my biological grandparents were alcoholics, and I'm a drinker, but I don't drink every day. And I always said I don't want to be an alcoholic because I love to drink.
Right.
So I drink in moderation. And I wish I would have taken that same stance with marijuana, because I don't think marijuana is a bad thing at all. Like, especially in comparison to alcohol and other hard drugs. But I don't really like to. I consider alcohol a drug. If you're gonna say pot's a drug, alcohol is a drug.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. But
yeah, like I said, I'm definitely not saying, like, weed is bad, but I am saying, like, hey, like, baby, go a week without smoking, and then smoke once in a while. I knew someone on Reddit who said that they smoke every day, and then they started to feel nauseous, and then they quit for a week. I won't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done smoking every day, but that's something that they do.
All right.
And another, let me just really quickly, this is really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just continue to smoke with CHS. And this guy was like,
it's the only thing that stops my nausea, man.
Yeah, this is what he does. No, this is what he does. He goes, I got a tip dealing with CHS. He goes, I make myself really cold by getting in a really cold pool and then going into a hot tub immediately after, which is hilarious to me, because I'm like, all that just to get high, dude? And like, I do have a pool and a hot tub in my community, but
I know, that's like some Navy SEAL fucking discipline shit. Guy's like training.
I know.
That's ridiculous.
Like, on the Reddit thread, we're all like, wouldn't it be just easier to quit?
Yeah. Instead of putting yourself, I know, fuck that shit, dude. Jumping in an ice cold pool.
Then the hot tub. Yeah, CHS for 2 years, and I was like, whoa.
It's like, I feel like if you do that, that would just kill the high. Like, whatever high you feel, it would just get buzzed out once you jump in that cold water. That's what happened to me.
That's what I would think. And the nausea, too, is kind of a buzzkill, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
The scromiting, the best. I don't know. I love being high, much as the next person, but I would rather not scrom it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this was good. This was fun. I'm glad you're feeling better and that you're on the other side of this, that you're in the recovery stage.
I'm so glad. It was like angel thing when we went out to dinner and I had some gluten-free pizza, cauliflower, and some salad. I didn't overeat. I only had like two slices or three small slices, and I was just like, I'm so happy I can eat again.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I thought I wasn't gonna miss weed. Unfortunately, I do. But I'm working through it. It's gonna be okay. Luckily, I have a boyfriend who only vapes like after I go to sleep, so I don't have to smell it, because the smell just that beautiful smell, that beautiful smell.
I know, it's so funny. Like, if you don't smell, you fucking hate the smell. But if you do smell, it's like, oh, what is that? Bring me over there.
That's why I like the smell of skunk sometimes.
I know, I kind of feel that too sometimes, honestly. Until you get too close, and it's like, oh, that's not weed.
I know. You're like, wait, no, just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, and anytime anybody, I don't know really how podcast works, but I definitely don't mind talking about this, and I just want to get the word out, because I do want to help people, and I do love weed, and it's like, hey, if you can just do it in moderation, so you don't get this, do that, so you can still smoke.
And
chill.
Your Instagram was Moey Jokes and Drinks, right? Yeah. It's Moey. Yeah.
Message me. Don't just I'm not so worried about that on the Facebook. Maybe don't say something like, well, never mind, that's Instagram. You can't really post on people.
I get no views, so if you start getting messages from this, it'll be in the future. So don't worry about it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really worried about my mother-in-law, but I'm sure she's not going around listening to a weed podcast.
Yeah, no one's gonna find this anytime soon.
And so be it if she does, because now I don't smoke anymore. So whatever.
Yeah. You're putting the word out there. You're saving lives.
Yes.
All right. Well, yeah, that's it. That was good.
Awesome.
Anything else, or you satisfied with all that information?
I'm satisfied. That was really fun to talk about.
Yeah. All right. And once this fucking corona pandemic is over, we need to finally hang out and have some crepes, which we still never did.
Yeah, we need to hang out and not smoke.
Yeah. We got a bunch of
Maybe we
gluten-free
can get a
flowers. Like, we can make gluten-free crepes here also. That's been done before, so.
Oh, yes, you could do that. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Alright. Well,
Alright.
I'll see you later. We'll hang out after the quarantine. Like in a month or some
Sounds
shit.
good. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Stay healthy.
Alright, you too. Bye.
Alright, bye.
Alright, so that was Moey Jokes and Drinks on Instagram. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. We used to be coworkers, and yeah, which is funny. She did open micing before I did open micing, and then she stopped because like she changed jobs and a bunch of all this personal stuff with her started going on. So, and then I started doing open micing, so we never intersected in our open mic careers yet. But hopefully that'll start. That'll be fun. And yeah, one thing I didn't want to get into with her because this is like bro science here. I read a theory that suggests that the CB2 receptor may be to blame, and that people with CHS, apparently the cannabinoid receptors can become altered, which is something that we touched on here. Like if you have it, and if you smoke a lot, it might, like mutate or just get worse or just enhance or exacerbate, whatever the fucking word is, Apparently some receptors become more active while others shut down, but further study is needed on this. Oh, that's what I should have said. I should have said that maybe she should actually consider. I mean, now that she's in the recovery stage, it's kind of past that point. But if she, yeah, I'm gonna text her back because if she's considering smoking again after she gets better, that would actually be. Like, it'd be perfect if she did that in a controlled lab environment where they could actually, like, take blood samples and do that sort of thing. If she could, like, actually, like, besides just her words here on this podcast, if she could actually, put her blood to the test and maybe get more concise information out there in medical science, that'd be really cool. Because then I'd feel good. Because then I helped her do this, and then she helped the world do that. Alright. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm gonna text her right now. Fucking A. I kind of wish I brought that up while I was on the phone with her. I just didn't want to talk about this bro science because I know she doesn't know what the CB2 receptor is. I don't even know what the fuck that. I'm assuming it's cannabinoid 2. I don't know what that. I've only heard that we have cannabinoid receptors, but I don't know how many or what kinds or what the fucking deal is with that. Not a doctor, but yeah, this is interesting. Cool. Alright, thanks for listening, and as always, go fuck yourselves.